Do a quick trade recap. This is the YM contract. It's the mini Dow. I'm starting to track this the past couple of weeks because it's got some sometimes, well, not every day, but some days you get some smooth movement to it. It's only $5 a tick, so it's fairly low risk. You can see here that from overnight. Here's overnight from last night. If you were a night owl or you trade overnight, European session, markets shortly after midnight Pacific, which would have been right about here, started to push higher, breaking out of this little consolidation range it was in. Broke out, punched up, did a yellow bar probe, pushed all the way up here to this 460, 470 area. And then, of course, this is our guidance dots keeping us long. See, we're in a very nice long uptrend here. Then you went into this little consolidation patch between about, I don't know, 2:30 or 3 Pacific and about 5:30-ish. So about, what is that, about 2-3 hours, where you just kind of chop sideways a little bit. You know, our trend dots here were keeping us on the long side looking for a break. And, of course, you see over here we got it. Broke very nicely after 5:30 to the upside, pushing all the way up to this 480, 490 area. Now, the open of the market, U.S. Equity open, was right about in here. So this is that shotgun we talk about around the opening of the U.S. session. Let's take a look at what happened after that. Here's another little shotgunning pocket of sort of consolidation that occurs around the open right in here. And then right around 6:35 to 6:40, that's usually that first 5-10 minutes. We're kind of looking for something to set up. Just like all the equities, you look at almost every equity chart, you get a nice yellow bar probe here setting up. Here's the break to the upside. I think we called 470, as I recall. Did we call 470? That number sound familiar? Anybody remember the number 470? And we called that number out. That's why we did. You see the consolidation that formed right in there? See it? See a little pocket? See it pulling back? Broke up right through it. Nice, just textbook probe right at the open. I mean, just up she went. And of course you get beautiful beautiful trade to the upside here, punched up all the way up. Got a little sort of double top. And you did another yellow bar probe here. Wasn't as clean as the first one, so it wasn't quite as clean. You get a little retrace, and then it broke up. And unlike the Russell and some of the other markets, Nasdaq, pushed quite a bit higher. This is Rich's short up here. Notice what was happening here is you're getting a lot of topping action right up, hitting its head at 540, right at 540. See it? See it and it just popped up and nicked that 540 that Rich had been calling out all morning, filled the short. Now, given the fact our guidance was still long, you could make the case that this was a counter trend, somewhat of a counter trend short. And Bruce said he got filled at 465. Good for you. Nice trade down here, Bruce. But you can see that there's a lot of pressure building at that level, and if you did take a counter trend scalp, your first target was at 520. Remember we were saying 520? See, that's kind of a pivotal area. See how it punched immediately down to it right here? Just punched up and hit it, and that was your first target. I think Rich was talking about pulling some off the table there. It's 20 tick pop, just kind of right out of the gate. Here's your 520. See why we were saying 520? See how it kind of oscillated around it for a little while? Stayed above it and then punched below it. And then now, let's see where we're at right now. I don't know if Rich is still here. He might have taken off. I don't know if he's still in that short or not. But you can see here that we're still kind of, you can make the case we're kind of grinding a little lower and actually forming a little bit of a descending triangle kind of pennant formation with the apex at this 5.0, well, kind of right in here. See how it's trying to kind of break that little area right in there? Just trying to hold it. See the descending triangle? Now, a couple of things are going to happen, and we're going to look at a couple other charts here, but what could very well happen is we could break down this area and take it out, and very definitely the shorties could reassert themselves back down into this area right here. or even possibly back down to this 480 breakout area from earlier this morning, which would be kind of right in here. Well, call it between 480 and 490-ish. Right about where right pretty much kind of right where the guidance dots are, kind of right in here. See it? You could get a punch down here, and then be interesting to see if the bulls come back in and start to support this area, and we get a buy and a resumption of buying, punching us up higher like this. Here again, I think I mentioned that if you go look at some longer range charts, YM has a lot of. Bruce saying he's got a Murray math in here. I don't have Murray math on here, but Bruce saying that it's kind of resting on a little pivot Murray math right in this swing, right in here where it's at right now. So either going to get a quick pop down here for about 10, 12, 14 ticks into the support, or it could, get a little bit of resumption of buying. We don't know. But if it punches through that 540 area, you got a lot of resistance up at 11,600. That if it gets up into there, that would be a 400-point Dow up day. So we're talking about way up here. Could do it. Very well could do it. See, it's starting to try to get support right up in here. So if you take any kind of long trade, say later on if you're trading or watching for some breakouts, that would be a target up in there. You're going to want to bank some coin up in there if it gets anywhere up in this 11,600 area. Go look at some longer range charts. You'll see what I'm talking about. See how it's trying to get support in here? Didn't break that area. Trying to come up and challenge this little swing at 520. See it? Right in there. Keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on this area here if you're going to trade anymore. Watch the high energies and watch into the close. Might get some pop one way or another. All right, is there any questions on YM, how we traded YM today? Any questions on YM, the trades that's set up here? Early morning trades, probey right after the open, follow-on probe. Rich is short here at 540, little counter trend, boom, down to 520, grinding its way. And the support is getting right here. Okay, I don't see anything. Let's bring over the NASDAQ chart. It's going to look very similar, only it's going to look a little stronger in the fact that the retracements were not as pronounced. In fact, in this area right here, you notice that the area we're in actually right now, live, right here, is more or less kind of going sideways. See how you got support down here at this 20 and change. You got, now I've actually got the pivots right on here. See, it's checking the top of the pivot area, checking the bottom of the pivot area, staying slightly above it, kind of right in here, support, resistance. So if she's going to break, you might get a pop through this swing and or that swing right there. So you're going to want to watch NASI. NASI's been comparatively strong to the other equities. Very similar trades. Open of the U.S. Equity Open was right about in here, 630, would have been right here. Now, a lot of traders say this all the time, Charles, well, this thing, coming into the open, it was up so much and it was running. Where do I get in? Well, I'm just going to show real quick. We cover this more in the Trader's Kit and in the webinars, but just to show you here. Here's your pop at the open, U.S. market open. And now you go into a couple little retracement trades. See them? I'm not going to get into a lot of detail about entry and exit because we do that in the webinars and the Trader's Kit. But see these little retracements? All these little retracements that are pulling back into support. See it? Stealthy, pulling into support, bouncing, pulling into support, bouncing, pulling into support, bouncing. It does it 3-4 times. Those are all little pockets. Those are all little areas on where to get in. So when you start hearing, in the room we're saying, hey, Dow's, all cash markets are punching higher. NASI taking out its swing, NASI going higher, EMD, Russell taking off. These are all clues, verbal clues, audio clues in the room. Hey, you want to be buying this market, buying these little pullbacks, right? Thrust up, take a little profit, probe trade, re-enter, probe trade, re-enter. Now you had plenty of time to think about getting out here. I mean, look how long NASI went sideways. Basically, it hit that pivot. I don't know, arguably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times you had a chance to get out on the NASDAQ long trade up here. Plenty of time. And now we're trying to punch out again. So, it's hard to say. She might get a little resistance up in here. If you want some proof that she's heading higher, you're going to have to kind of watch what she does up in here. Keep an eye on the other markets. What's YM doing? All right, well, YM's starting to punch through. Here, it broke our downtrend line, and it's coming above 520. See the 520 level it took out? There you go. There's your breakout. Just happened. Just happened a couple minutes ago. Everybody see that? Let's blow the NASDAQ chart up here a little bit. There you go. Coming up, trying to take that little pivot out there. Take out that little swing level. We'll see if we get any follow through here. But anyway, so that was just a couple of the equities. As you know, Gary traded the Russell contract, which actually was more volatile and had more, I think the Russell breakup was like 65 ticks on that run, wasn't it, Gary? You had like 60-something ticks on that break right after the open.
It was a beauty.
Still here.
Did you hear that? It was a beauty.
Yeah, you took that. I know that contributed to your 3K morning. Good for you.
Yeah, it's up to 33.40 now. I jumped back in Roosty at 696.10.
Sweet. Yeah, of course not. Yeah, and I looked at an EMD chart. I wasn't trading EMD so much today, but EMD had some nice breaks too, but not near as much as the other ones. I don't know why EMD was lagging the other markets so much today. It had a good run, but like its breaks were only 20, 30, 40 ticks, weren't as pronounced as some of the other markets here this morning. All right, let's see. YM might drop back into the soup there. And it'll be interesting to see what NASI does here. See if the support level becomes resistance becomes support, kind of right in this area right here. See, it's going to come and check that little support. Let's see what she does right in there. See if we get a bounce.
Hey, by the way, Charles, on like Ronald's question there, Ronald, the reason Charles's chart is red, he uses the stealth regular background. It's just called the stealth background. But when you see it in the room, it's the transition background. Little slower, it'll keep you out of some of the chop.
Yeah. There's a couple of different backgrounds we have. We have the original, which is what you see over here, and it flips a little faster. Some traders like that, some don't. Gary and Rich prefer what's called transitional, which is when markets are not quite long or short and they're kind of meandering sideways, it tends to be a neutral color. You might like that. Try that on your chart. See if you like it better. And then, of course, the rest of it's just stealth and the trend dots and what have you. Yeah. So, and this is called breakout math, by the way. This thing we call Murray math is actually breakout math in your indicator package. All right. So we're holding 25 here. It's trying to hold to 25. Let's see if we get any follow through. And I'll notice how that 520 is trying to hold right on this. See how it kind of just oscillates above it, pulls below it. It's like a magnet, comes right back to it. NASI might get a little break here. Might get a little pop up. Just trying to challenge that little swing there, 28. There you go. What's the other markets doing? I can't see. Is the Russell breaking higher?
Yeah, the Russell's actually got a doji candle that's got a wick up a little higher, but it's still, it just rested on support at 697.30 area. It's trying to go up.
Yeah. Well, NASI very definitely is punching higher. No question about it. I mean, if you look at the cash markets, it's the strongest of the bunch. It's up over 3.5%, whereas the Dow comparatively is up 2.75%. Very close, very similar. Well, here, to give you an example, NASDAQ cash market's up 3.68%, and the Dow's up like 2.8%. S&P up 3.25%. So it's comparatively stronger. That's why I like to kind of keep an eye on these two together. They're both $5 instruments, but sometimes NASI will lead the pack. Sometimes it'll be a little weaker, a little stronger than the other ones. And normally the other markets, if you find divergence in one, like the Russell, for instance, or sometimes EMD will break out or NASDAQ will push higher. Normally the other markets follow it. At some point they normally, unless you just get complete divergence. Like here, for instance, you see how YM's trying to punch higher, holding this 520. I'm not trading. I made good money on the runs up this morning. I'm not gonna chase it around in here myself, but keep an eye on it later on this morning. Got some high energy. Let's see when the next high energy is here. I know we had one at 750, which was just a little before the peak of the market there. Market peaked out and then pulled back. Anybody know when the next high energy is? Got that email handy? Gotta look that up. Hold on a second here. I think it's 11:20, Denton. Okay. Yeah, 11:20. All right. So, it's about an hour. What was that? An hour and a half before the close or so. So watch the last hour. You might get some movement, but if you, like I said, if you've made good money already and you're up nicely on the day, there's really no reason to go in and start chasing it around like that. Here we go. It's punches up 5, 6, 8, 10 ticks back in the soup. Maybe you get a break, maybe you don't. I'd keep it pretty tight. Keep it to one contract. Don't risk all that coin you made in the morning. Put it all back in the market. Well, I think that's a wrap.